Hello and welcome to another episode of TCAP Recap. Tonight we are looking at Chris Urban, the meth-head predator, or the meth predator. He is this fellow right here. He's got a good sense of humor / irony, wearing his DEA cap. He does turn it around backwards after he gets busted. So I don't know if he does that on purpose, or if maybe he just turns his hat on backwards whenever he's getting sweated or getting, put under pressure. But he is high during the interrogation. You can definitely tell. I don't have experience with methamphetamine myself, but when I was younger, I had a dexedrine prescription, which is just amphetamine salts. They weren't my cup of tea, I guess. I was more a fan of downers, it turned out. But I definitely, you can see the signs. He's just like, he gets nervous. He's talking a lot. He washes his hands when he gets there, which is, that cleanliness thing. And you can also the meth is seeping out of his chat log because it's also known as a sex drug. Something that people take to either like enhance it or make it last longer or do it longer. Yeah. He brought alcohol with him. He did not bring any meth, but he did have a meth pipe on him, I believe, in his pocket. The cops find it. And let's just get right into the chat log because it's actually pretty late here. I waited too long. He fortunately fortunately for me, I guess, he's a fast mover. So the chat log is just standard, predator chatter, as people say. Dave's Lemonade says it, I think. Predator chatter. I really like the term. But it's just your standard fare. He jumps right in, so finds out that she's 13. Expresses shock at first. Oh my god, 13, sorry. 26, too old, huh? And he says that exactly 5 seconds after he says sorry. And then he goes, "You a virgin." And that's, roughly a minute later, a little less than a minute later, 45 seconds later. And he claims he's a pro at sex. And interestingly, he starts off expressing that standard love of all predos, looking to teach. He asks her if she's looking to learn. And he expressed his knowledge that he could get in trouble early on as well. And he goes from, "I could get in trouble, girl," to, "You want to see me on cam?" Less than 2 minutes later. And that's where the first humorous misunderstanding occurs. He says, "Wonder if you want to see what you can touch if you want." And the decoy says, "LOL, I ain't doing that unless I'm with a guy." Which, I don't know if that really... If you want to see, you can touch if you want. I think he's trying to just initiate sexting. And Kelly the decoy says, "I ain't doing that unless I'm with a guy," meaning the sexting. But he says, "With a guy? You mean if we meet?" So he's thinking she's only going to do it if it's a threesome with another dude. And he gets kind of frustrated when she doesn't immediately... I think it's Dave's Lemonade that brings up the fact that she's not responding to his near constant attempts to turn this into a super sexual, sexting chat going both ways. And he's just blinded by his horniness, his meth engorged horniness. Oh, bad choice of words on my part. His meth strengthened lustiness. He's a fucking idiot if he thinks a 13-year-old girl is gonna just do this with him. So he's not a dumb person necessarily. He makes some poor choices, but he's fairly coherent when he talks with Chris. He's, got that sharp meth mind going on. I guess he hasn't gone too long without sleep. That's what makes people start to get spun out and frazzled and like turning into the stereotype of a strung out meth user. But he asks a couple times if she wants to get naked with him. I don't really want to go into all the chatter, but he does talk. He expresses a strong desire for the decoy to want him really badly, and like Dave's Lemonade also covered in more detail. Props to him for going through the entire chat log line by line. But Chris is just very interested in wanting her to be interested. He doesn't want to just go over there and, rape this girl. He wants to go over there and be sexed up by her. And he gets frustrated when she doesn't even entertain it, really. Like, this decoy is just... they're just stonewalling him. You can see just... No, cool, yeah, LOL, duh, LOL, yeah, LOL. It's just one-word answers that mean nothing. Just placeholders like LOL, what? And he's asking all this like personal sexual shit, and she's just giving him no details, just LOL, yeah. Tantalizing him. She's got him on the hook, and she's just making him squirm because she knows what he wants her to do, because she's an adult who can recognize it and not a 13-year-old girl who could be pressured into doing this. That they would want to do it with Chris over the internet, that's the part that he is tripping about, because he's, like I said, blinded. But it goes on and on with him doing the same things, and he wants her to show up to the door naked. He wants, oh God, he talks about his group sex porn. This was the Riverside sting in 2006, so I guess people still had collections of porn, like on DVD or VHS or some shit, rather than just like going onto the internet when they want it, which seems, I would say, is the norm. So yeah, it's funny to think about him like with this enormous collection that's mostly group sex porn, just really focused. I wouldn't be surprised if he did have a copious amount as a regular meth user. They do like their porn. I did know a fair many when I got cleaned up from my own dirty habits. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Although I guess it does give me a little bit more intimate knowledge with what he is going through in the moment. He, like right now, just, you can tell, oh my God, just do. Okay, I got phone now too. This is him, just rapid fire. Okay, I got phone now too. You don't want a sneak peek? Cross face. I'm watching porn now. Unintelligible face. You want to kiss and go at it as soon as I get there? Just asking. I'm walking out of here in 3 minutes. Blank. Crossface. Blank. Blank. Crossface. And I mean like the face with the slash mark. I'm about to walk out. Please tell me. Finally, they say hi. You leaving now? Oh, got him. So the decoy was here, 341, and then she says that, so she says, whatever you want me to, when he asks, what do you want to do to me? So she's still giving him no response. And that's what sends him off on this, just all the way down. And this is her response. Hi, you leaving now? And he, Mr. Smooth, says, oops, was logging out to leave, yes. No, you fucking weren't. You were just hounding her. And then she says, okay, can't wait. And he says, so you want to kiss and be naughty as soon as I get there? And the decoy's like, fuck, why did I say anything? Now he's back. And he finishes off by saying, you got to make the first move, okay? And then just some other random details. So let's get into his video. All right, here we have it. Thank you to Catch a Predator Shows for posting the video. We got Chris sneaking in here. So let's jump right in.
What's that?
Look at this sorry to just jump right into it, but look at this terrible neck posture. Like, it's like 2 straight lines and then just right into his head. So he's tripping out because he's going to be paranoid from the meth. Who knows how many times he just, masturbated before he came over here. Was probably doing it in the car. Sick bastard. Actually, this might be a good time just to mention that Chris Urban actually had a pretty good, this was a turning point in his life, I guess most people would say. So after this, he got clean. He got sentenced to a year in jail, 3 years probation, and I'm sure the increased scrutiny of, sex offender probation probably helped him stay on the straight and narrow because they're probably a lot more strict. But now, somebody from the Reddit, I believe, the subreddit, or maybe the Temple of TCAP, probably more likely there, they reached out, they got his number from a trade fair and reached out to him. And he, said some nice stuff, although to me, it does seem like he blames NBC a little too much for running the show on him. But I am glad that it turned things around for him so that he, wasn't hurting anybody else in his community and that he could be a productive member of his community. That's the most important thing first. And then it's also nice that he's, having what sounds like a relatively normal life. I guess if he served his debt, the key thing for me about the punishment is that it serves, number one, as a deterrent and needs to be severe enough to be a deterrent. He got off pretty light because he's in Riverside, California, and not in Georgia. So he only got the 1 year and 3 years probation. That was too light, but the second thing that's most important is that they don't reoffend. So I'm glad that he's doing well, all that shit, but at the time he was not doing well, and he still showed up after saying that horrifically sexual chat with a 13-year-old. So he deserves to get dunked on for what he did at the time. And this is also serving as a deterrent, the Catch a Predator show, and the TCAP community, as far as I'm concerned. If all sex predators had to risk what happens to these guys every time they wanted to strike, they might actually think twice. Be careful, you get caught, you might be discussed on the internet for the next 20 years and endlessly mocked. But, okay, let's get back into it.
I wash my hands, right?
The Riverside investigation was scheduled to last 3 days. By the second day, we had 35 men visit our house, including this guy, who shows up to meet a girl half his age. He comes in and he's jittery, he's jazzed up, and he goes to wash his hands. Well, I'm watching from the next room, and, I don't like every approach to be the same.
Okay, Chris. Yeah. You're very clever and witty. I say that sarcastically, but I do mean it. I do enjoy his varied approach to each predator. But one thing to note about Chris, he did not consider this at all. Nowhere in the chat does he he says maybe I could get in trouble. And that's it. He doesn't think that the decoy is a decoy. He doesn't consider that it might be a cop. He doesn't consider that it might be a sting. And he walks in and just makes himself at home, washing his hands, which, that does seem to indicate that he might have been doing something in the car that he should not have been doing. Ugh. But Chris does get him real good. It's one of the better Chris Hansen reveals.
Paper towel's right over here. So I grab a paper towel. He sees me and I hand it to him. And at first he just thinks, oh, gee, thanks. And then there's...
And man, I talk about the Pretos getting knocked back on their heels when he comes out and doing weird stuff like Raimundo Anguiano shaking Chris's hand. Most of them just, say, hey, how you doing? And listen to Chris when he says sit down instead of just like getting out of there. But Chris here, man, Chris Urban, he has one of the worst cases I've ever seen of getting knocked back on the heels. Here comes Chris.
Paper towel's right over here.
Looks back
So
at
I
his
grab
hands,
a paper towel.
him.
He sees me and I hand it to him. And at first he just thinks, oh, gee, thanks. And then there's this, he figures out that this is going to be a problem.
Would you have a seat right over on the stool there, please? Oh, who are you?
Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
And who did you come to see, Chris?
I wanted to let that one just play out in all its glory because he is still dazed and confused. And it's actually, in extreme contrast to what it'll be like later on as he starts getting jazzed up, as Chris says. Back, the meth, again, the meth takes over, again, from the adrenaline that's flooding through his body right now and just clouding him and making him unable to think. He's in, freeze or flight or fight, and he's freezing. He is frozen. That is a deer in the headlights look for sure. One of the better Preto, just caught in the head. Caught on the front of the train tracks. I can't talk.
What's her name?
I'm sorry. Oh, you caught me off guard.
He's, shaky. He looks like he's on some kind of a drug.
Chris is saying this after knowing that Chris Urban is a drug addict, a meth addict, so don't act so smug, Chris Hansen.
And in fact, later, police found methamphetamines in his car.
You came to see Kelly.
Yeah.
And how old is Kelly?
Kelly's way too young for me.
Way too young for you.
Yeah.
Then why did you come here, Chris?
I came here to tell her that, actually.
To tell her.
See, when he says she's way too young for me, you think maybe this guy is just going to be honest. And then he launches into this story about how he was just coming over to tell her that she's way too young for him. And that's just the height of bullshit. So, sorry, Chris Urban. You have failed before you've even begun.
That she was way too young.
Actually, I did, yeah. Yeah. I swear on my life.
So you drove all the way from where?
I drove from Rancho because I was tempted at first, and then I was thinking on the way down here, I was like, you know what? I can't really do this.
Oh, and there is the Preto tradition number 1, changing your mind halfway there. You launch your car in their direction, horny as fuck, and then halfway there, you just magically decide, wait a second, this is so wrong, I'm gonna keep going though to tell her it's wrong, rather than turning my ass back around. So, good job, Chris.
I don't feel right in my conscience. Like, I'm a conscience type person.
Yeah, I could tell you're a conscious type person by
I'm
your
very,
by
very,
your
very
chat
conscious. Yeah, and then I was gonna come here and tell her, I don't want to do anything. I didn't bring any condoms or anything.
You did not?
No, so.
And not bringing condoms says nothing about your sexual intent. It actually just looks bad for you because it meant that you were gonna not use protection. God, ugh.
I mean, you can take them out of your pocket now. I know from the chat that the decoy had asked him to bring condoms. So I asked him, and he reaches into his pocket.
I brought this, but this is really watered down. You can even test it. That's way watered down.
Way watered down.
Way watered down.
What is that?
It's a 151, but it was this much left. and I put a bunch of water in it. So,
You did?
Yeah, dude.
And that was why. Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to. I wanted to leave it here when I left and just say, here, you can have this. And
Whoa. He's just a conscious type person, so he brings booze to minors, but he makes sure to water it down first. Just a real good stand-up conscious type person.
that's you know.
So
That's
you
about
were
all
going
you
to
can
come
have.
over here and say, look, do me a favor, though, and just keep your hands out of your pockets. Unless
Oh,
you're
no,
getting your
that's-
condoms out of there.
That's fine.
Yeah, just get what you're getting and put them right on the counter.
Yeah, there's one, but it's no good. I
not
always
good.
carry it with me. It was always in my wallet, and I took it out of my wallet when I was in my car. And
If it's no good, why do you carry it with you? Is it your good luck condom? Because right now it's really proving itself to be your bad luck condom. So might want to rethink that strategy.
yeah. No, I have nothing to. I honestly was going to come here and tell her I didn't want to do anything.
Right.
And tell her, you know what, you're extremely young for this. You know?
He looks so fucking guilty just with his, like, holding his hands in front of him.
Honestly was going to come here and tell her I didn't want to do anything.
Right.
And tell her,
Like, this is just like, it's like a rat-like maneuver. Like, rubbing his hands in front of him and just super tense and jazzed up. It does not, it looks like he's lying and that he's just scared as shit and making up anything that sounds viable.
you know what, you're extremely young for this. You know.
So
I
you were
said-
going to come here and tell 13-year-old Kelly that you didn't want to
Yeah.
do.
Flex by Chris Hansen, big time, bringing out Dell. It's super effective. Oh, it's like a Pokemon battle, and Chris Hansen is like, he's getting combative. Chris Hansen uses Dell. It's devastating to the Predo.
Do anything with her, but
really
here's some Bacardi rum and
was
a
actually
condom
gonna-
and
I was
old
actually-
condom. Did you
honestly-
transmit this photograph?
Oh my.
Oh,
I didn't know.
Transmit this photograph?
Oh my.
oh my.
I didn't know I sent that one.
You didn't know.
Well, actually, yeah, I did, but wow.
He's
I wasn't
shocked.
thinking of.
To a 13.
He wasn't thinking of, he doesn't finish that thought. He is, again, rocked back on his heels when he gets his own dick thrown back in his face. It's just a small taste of the medicine that he was giving the decoy, especially had she been a 13-year-old girl. But even that small taste is enough to make him bounce back disgusted.
Year-old girl.
I'm sorry. You're right. I know. I wasn't thinking.
And then he says, and we hadn't heard this before,
Hey, look at me. I didn't even take a shower. If I was coming to do something like that, I would have taken a shower. You know. I mean, that's the first thing you do.
How old are you?
You know.
Again, this is more of a negative against Chris Urban than a convincing positive for his story. It just goes to show that he was going to use a bad condom while dirty and grubby and reeking because just sweating from the meth. Ugh. Gross.
I'm 26 years old, sir.
26 years old.
And I
You
really
are
felt
twice the
bad.
age
I
of the
know,
girl you
I
thought you
know.
were going to come see.
Like, I really feel bad, dude. Like, I mean, I don't even know how to tell you how I feel bad.
So he's really trying. Oh, God. Another flex by Chris Hansen. Big time. Wow. They are just. They're staking him to the ground. But one of the reasons why Chris Urban is so frantic and like supplicating and just bending over backwards trying to get his ass out of this is because he's already on probation for like meth possession charges or something. So he knows he's big time fucked if the cops get involved, which he'd have to be a fucking idiot to not expect them to be involved at this point. Dell was just the final nail in the coffin that this is an organized sting and not a random dude grilling pedos or like a YouTube crew, which they didn't have back then, obviously. But I mean, those crews just kind of roll around grilling pedos. I guess they turn their stuff over to the police, but the police probably don't want to give any credit. I shouldn't speak about it because I don't know enough about them. So let's just continue about what I do know about TCAP.
Now, I was worried, like.
So now you
like,
go on and do this.
I'm sorry. You know, because I was desperate sitting at home, I did, and it's not right to do. You're right. They should have like control things on those chat rooms.
Would you answer the door?
What? These chat rooms should have controls on them to keep the masses, keep the vulnerable people away from animals like this guy. Is that what he's trying to argue here? Because having controls in place, like controls good enough to stop 13-year-olds from getting on the chat rooms. Obviously, they have. I mean, it was more prevalent back then, but they would have the. Actually, it's probably more prevalent now, and I'm just no longer underage for anything, so I never see them or notice them. But you press that button that says, you know, I declare I'm above 18, which anybody can do. So to have effective guardrails would mean admitting that guys like Chris Urban just have so little control over their actions that they need to be forcibly blocked from, you know, minors, or else they'll just do this. He's not thinking this argument through, clearly, but even that one seems like one he should recognize is not a good excuse.
Or naked.
And finally, when confronted with the transcripts, you know, he admitted that it didn't look good.
I really wasn't even going to come down here.
Yeah, but you did.
And when I did, because I didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I didn't want somebody to be absolutely hurt.
Another Preto checklist to mark off. He didn't want to hurt their feelings. That's the reason. That makes sense. Because him not showing up is going to hurt this girl's feelings and life in general more than him showing up for anything in any capacity.
Okay? And sit there and go,
here.
oh my gosh, he didn't show up. You know, and I'm really like a conscious person. I mean, look at me. I'm so dirty, like.
I know. Well, I tell you what's dirty.
I agree with that, and Chris is about to fucking roast him, and I interrupted it. I'm sorry. Let's catch it in full.
I'm really like a conscious person. I mean, look at me. I'm so dirty, like.
I know. Well, I tell you what's dirty is this conversation.
You know what?
Had.
Yeah, I know. I really should not have done this. I felt.
Chris Urban, you can't lob him up like that, because Chris Hansen's gonna knock him out of the fucking ballpark every single time when they're that easy. You're just painting bullseyes on yourself, man.
Absolutely.
Yes, don't take my blank out of.
And it's funny because every time that he tries, you know, he's getting any steam built up, Hansen knocks him back down, and he just goes back to being, oh, you're right, I'm sorry. Because he can recognize that he's defeated, but then he gets a little bit of hope or more possibly grows a little more hopeless and just throws something else at the wall. Much like Dan Allen, who is pulling him out of his ass.
Of your mouth till I'm done.
I know.
Look, if somebody's telling me in the interview that, you know, they've got an addiction or a compulsion that led them to this situation, you have to say, you ended up walking into.
See,
I was not fantasy.
I don't want to listen to Chris talk about his little compulsion theory. It's just, it's tired. I'm not even going to read it. Okay, well, it's bullshit because people can have internet addictions without being pretos. I went over that in my last one about Dan Allen, but I'll go over it again every single time just because it's so silly.
Talking about a 13-year-old, for God's sake. You know, that's not right to do.
Would you ever have two guys all over you?
It's just, like I said, fantasy type
What
things
would you do with two?
Yeah, it's just wanting to hear. And
type.
Now, do you know that it's illegal?
It's just fantasy type stuff. That's almost like role-playing chat rooms. So that's another one of the proto essentials. Oh, Chris Urban, you're striking off a lot of boxes, buddy.
I figured it had the parent. No, I didn't know that it was illegal.
Illegal to send this kind of material?
I did not know that.
Bullshit.
I truly didn't.
Somebody who you believe is underage?
I did not know that.
That's against the
Oh
law.
my God.
Here's what you need to know, Chris.
There, he lets slip that it's all an illusion and manipulation on his part. He's putting on this little act over here, pretending that he didn't know that this was illegal. That's like such obvious dishonesty and bullshit that, I don't know. Maybe I guess a lot of these guys claim they don't know, and I just assume that there's no way that they can be that stupid, but maybe I'm giving him too much credit. But he goes on to, like, he puts his hat on his face, and it's just, at this point, it's getting kind of old, and he needs to just either pack up his bags and go, or admit defeat once and for all, because this waving back and forth into admitting everything and apologizing to then making up some new bullshit. Well, not making it up, he's just reinventing the same tired Predo chat lines, or standard lies that they give to Chris.
And that is that I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story on people who go, well, you're welcome to leave and take your stuff with you. But if there's anything else you'd like to say, please tell us. If not, when he left the house.
See, he knows at this point he's done. He's cooked. If this is like a reputable news story, it's going to be seen by cops. It's going to be seen by people who will recognize him or tell people of consequence in his life about him getting busted. So he needs to get out of there ASAP. And suddenly he's not so sorry. He's not so interested in telling his side of the story or making justifications. He just wants to get out. And it's, you're sad to see him go because he is entertaining, but you're happy to see him be arrested. So let's
I
see that.
didn't know that he was on probation. Obviously, that made his situation worse. When ultimately
That sad walk out the door.
he was arrested.
Turn around and put your hands behind your back.
Please don't do this, please, because I really wasn't going to do this.
Go ahead and cuff him.
Sir.
What?
Like, please.
Do you have anything illegal?
Sir, please. Man, he's about to turn into Rolando Restacruz if he just gets on his knees. Sir, please, sir. Good old Rolando. Chris is also, he's, it's a different approach, but it's the same exact principle. And he's ballsy enough to try it with the police.
On you?
No,
Do you have any drugs or anything like that? When's the last time you used speed?
I used it like 2 months ago, sir.
Is it 2 months ago usually means 2 days or 2 hours?
I am on probation for it.
What are you on probation for?
For possession in July, and that's the last time I used it. It's been a few months.
For possession of meth?
Yes. Yeah, I did use an hour ago. Yeah. No, I'm not trying to get rid of it, sir. I really am not.
Which pocket?
Oh, look at that.
I know it's only because I have to sign up for a class. I hadn't used it since I had gotten in trouble with it back in July, and I was
Reality sets in, dude.
look. Yes, reality sets in right when I stepped out my front door.
You're right.
It did.
Yeah, it did.
And
What does that mean, Chris? What? You're in reality at all times, so reality is not something that just shows up outside your door. But he's about to launch into a bullshit story about this dirty meth pipe, about how he needed it for a presentation in his drug rehab class, which maybe I don't need to say it, but that's such utter bullshit. That's just laughable that any drug rehab program would want somebody to bring in something as triggering as a dirty meth pipe that probably still smells like burnt meth and probably still has meth in it, coating the inside. It's offensive that Chris even tries to use his drug rehab class to cover for his ass. Like, come on, man. Are there no sacred cows? Like, no sacred things to you? Oh, man. This guy he'll say anything to get out of this.
Exactly right. That's where
No,
the crime occurred.
no.
The minute you stepped out your front door,
And the only-
you were headed toward having to meet with a 13-year-old girl to have sex.
And
with.
the only
That's
thi-
where the crime occurred.
Want to meet up, baby?
So have you?
It's clear that his meth addiction probably played into his poor decision-making skills. However, I don't want anybody to think that just because somebody uses drugs and uses meth that they're going to become a predo. So it's not like it played a defining factor in it. Just because you're on meth doesn't mean that you suddenly become somebody who's willing to go have sex with 13-year-olds or even have those disgusting chats that he had. Like, that's so far from reality that that's why that's offensive to me, that he tries to use his drug rehab class let me know what you think in the comments. And I still have, I think this was number 16 or 17 of 30 total episodes. So I will catch you tomorrow and hope you have a nice day, night. Thank you so much for listening. I will catch you on the flip side.